After finding a snow monster hiding on her roof, a girl is given the mission of accompanying it to the Himalayas while they are pursued by a team of evil scientists. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, Abominable, from 2019. In a laboratory, scientist Zara has just made a discovery in her experiment, but is surprised by the giant creature that has escaped from its cage and is now invading her room. At the same moment, she emits a red alert to summon the guards, which makes the monster run towards the corridors, but all the exits begin to close in front of him. As he approaches the last door, the creature manages to push it open with all his strength and runs to the outside of the facility, where he is surrounded by more armed security guards. In response, the monster begins to release some kind of magic that emits an electrical discharge and destroys the laboratory's security system, so he manages to jump the gate and escape to the city. Desperate, he runs through the busy streets, trying to escape the imminent danger. However, his frantic running is brought to an abrupt halt when a car hits him, throwing him into a narrow alley, where he spots a billboard with an image of Mount Everest, which catches his eye. Yi is a young girl who is overprotected by her mother and grandmother Nai. In her spare time, she works as a nanny for children and even animals. She also does other unpleasant tasks such as taking out the garbage at an Oriental food restaurant. After leaving work, when she passes a group of teenagers on the street, everyone makes fun of the girl's stench, except Jin, who watches her in silence. Upon arriving home, Yi receives an invitation from Peng to play basketball, but she refuses and tells him to play with her cousin, the boy who passed her earlier. The girl has been distant in recent days, which worries her family a lot, especially after the recent loss of her father. Later, the young woman sneaks up to the roof. There's a hut where she's hiding the materials for a trip she wants to make to China, which is why she's been working so hard. In addition, she keeps her violin there, the instrument being a significant symbol of her connection with her father, although she doesn't show this to her family and hides the precious object. She then starts to play a song, but is surprised by a helicopter flying very close to her. The force of the propellers causes the girl to lose her balance and her instrument is thrown away during the fall. As Yi tries to retrieve her violin from the floor, she realizes that there is a giant animal hiding behind the sheets. Even though she is frightened, she manages to stealthily pick up her instrument. However, the violin bow ends up slipping and making a sound, which wakes up the previously sleeping monster. The monster gets up and walks towards the young woman, but ends up being startled by the helicopter that is getting closer and closer. Noticing the animal's desperation, the girl tries to hide it using some debris that was in the area, which causes the pursuers to lose track of their target. The creature then goes back to sleep peacefully, but Yi stays awake and alert until the next day. As she looks at the giant, she notices that his paw is injured. At the same moment, she collects some of her emergency reserve and goes to the nearest pharmacy. After buying some medicine on the way back, she comes across the lab staff bribing some people who claim to have met the abominable creature. When she gets home, the girl steals some Chinese dumplings and puts them in her backpack, without realizing that her grandmother is watching. Even so, she doesn't suspect her granddaughter's plans to feed a Yeti. After returning to the roof, Yi hands the food to her new friend, who quickly finishes off all the dumplings. She then bandages the animal's injured paw. After that, the young woman realizes that the hiding place is too small, so she dismantles her makeshift hut to make a bigger place to house the creature. Soon after, Yi plays some music to calm the anxious animal down, and the moment she closes the curtains, she notices that he's looking at an image of Mount Everest. At that moment, she deduces that the place may be his real home. Doing a brief search on the internet, the young woman finds research suggesting that the animal she is sheltering is a Yeti, which surprises her. The next day, Nai notices that the air conditioner is on the top side of the roof and asks Peng and his cousin to go and check it out. Meanwhile, Yi finds her new friend Everest playing with the device just above and is surprised by the boys. Upon realizing the giant's presence, Jin is terrified and tries to call the police, which alerts the lab staff who are already waiting for a signal from their target. A helicopter quickly approaches the scene, scattering the girl's things. The girl picks up her violin, then the monster carries her on its back and escapes by jumping through the roofs of the houses. Right behind them, Jin and Peng steal the motorcycles of two young women to join the chase. During the attack, the bandits are about to hit the creature, but end up shooting one of their own companions. At the same time, Yi and her monster friend manage to reach a building by the sea, where she almost falls to the ground, but is saved at the last second by the creature. Before they can reach the boat, the pair are surrounded again by the team of villains. However, they are on top of some kind of light globe that is activated at the same moment, distracting Mr. Burnish's henchmen. After stealthily escaping from the villains, the two companions race to the boat bound for China. However, the monster is afraid to jump on the boat alone, which makes Yi join him on the journey, even though Jin begs her to stay. Suddenly, Pang appears and jumps into the boat, forcing his cousin to do the same. As he lands from his jump, the vain young man realizes that he has fallen into a puddle of oil, soiling all his expensive new sneakers. Mr. Burnish is the mastermind behind the capture of the abominable creature, and he is very angry because he needs the animal to make an official revelation to the scientific community. Even though he has other exotic animals, such as jumping snakes, the man insists on capturing the Yeti to give his presentation. Then the captain of the henchmen tells his boss that the creature has been seen with some children on a boat. Dr. Zara promises to help capture it only if the animal is not harmed in the process. Meanwhile, the youngsters are amused to find a cargo of soft drinks on the ship, and even the monster enjoys the beverage. However, they still have a long way to go before they reach Mount Everest. After landing on an island, the children hide in a crate full of more soda, but the cargo ends up coming loose from the truck and they fall into the forest next to the road. Realizing that everyone in the group is feeling very hungry, the monster begins to perform some kind of magic, causing berries to appear in the bushes around them. Jin is stunned by the spell and one of the blueberries explodes in his face. Suddenly, the rest of the berries begin to grow wildly, acquiring sizes proportional to those of the children. The situation gets out of hand when blueberries are thrown in the direction of the youngsters, who run desperately to avoid being hit by the enchanted fruit. Later, everyone recovers from their escape and realizes that they have fruit juice all over their bodies. Before going to sleep, Pang and Everest play like two children, at which point the teenagers realize that the monster may be the same age as the boy. This means that he may have a family waiting for him, and Yi needs to help him find them, refusing to leave until he does. This situation makes Jin angry because he also has a family to return to. At the same time, the lab's team of henchmen reaches the island where the children are, easily finding the trail of soda left by the group. Meanwhile, the youngsters reach the Yellow Mountain, which they have to climb via very steep stairs. Suddenly, some drones appear on the scene and everyone realizes that they are once again surrounded by Mr. Burnish's team. Realizing that they have no way out, Everest uses his power to make a dandelion grow to a giant size, then they use the plant as a helicopter to leave the place by air. However, Jin doesn't manage to catch a ride and ends up getting left behind, cornered by a drone that knocks him down the stairs. In the sky, the two children and the monster run away from the robots that are chasing them through the mountains. The drones start attacking the giant dandelion, but fail to take down the magic plant. Meanwhile, the lab staff try to convince Jin that they just want to help save the Yeti. Faced with this revelation, the boy ends up confessing that he doesn't know where his friends are, but he does know that they are going to Mount Everest. At the same time, the group of children land in the middle of a deserted place. Even though they don't know which direction to take, Yi decides that they should keep going in order to reach their destination. On the other hand, Mr. Burnish talks to Jin and reveals that he has spent several years looking for proof of the Yeti's existence, which moves the boy. While the young people seem to be getting more and more lost in the desert, Pang's cousin hides in the enemy camp and hears Dr. Zara talking to the captain of the henchmen. The woman reveals that she is not an animal-loving biologist and that, if necessary, she intends to hurt Everest and the children in order to capture them. The scientist then throws her pet mouse away, along with the leader's keys. The animal falls to the ground near Jin's hiding place, who collects the keys and takes the pet to Mr. Burnish's quarters. The boy quickly looks for the captain's car and finds a sleek motorcycle. He mounts it and accelerates, but the motorcycle moves too fast, leaving him behind. Faced with this, Jin decides to enter the woods, even though he realizes that there are animals watching him in the shadows. He turns on the flashlight on his cell phone and begins a frantic race, passing through storms and overcoming various challenges along the way. After walking around for some time using his GPS, he ends up swapping his cell phone for a canoe with a local. On the other hand, the other children arrive at a cliff, where they come across a train on the underside of the mountain. At the same moment, Everest produces a tornado with his powers that flies them to the train. At the end of the journey, the group of friends arrive in a village full of people who might be frightened by the monster. So Yi comes up with the idea of disguising it as a yak, using ropes and bicycle handlebars. As they walk through the crowd, Pang spots his cousin among the citizens. He quickly runs ahead to try and find him. However, he notices the arrival of the team of bandits, who have already identified Everest's location. In the middle of all the confusion, Jin appears in his canoe on the lake and Yi goes to meet him. At the same time, the creature is increasingly cornered by the herd of Ayok and the bandits. Noticing this, Pang slaps the giant beasts on the back, causing them to run furiously towards Mr. Burnish's henchmen. So the group of friends jump into Jin's boat and flee the scene in a hurry. However, the lab team transform their car into a technological boat to chase them. Faced with this, the creature uses its powers to boost the speed of the canoe, causing them to go straight through one of the bends in the river, heading for a plantation. Mr. Burnish's henchmen are heading in the same direction as them, but their vehicle ends up overturning when it lands on the ground. Everest and the children surf with the boat through the plantation, which moves like giant waves, responding to the powers of the abominable creature. The ground undulates more and more, causing the boys' vehicle to be thrown away. After getting up, they realize that Peng is passed out, but has only swallowed some leaves during the confusion. Just like the monster, who puts it all out by hitting Jin in the face. On the other hand, Yi's violin ended up breaking as a result of the fall, which hurt her a lot. At that moment, Jin consoles his companion and reveals that the scientists know they are going to Mount Everest. Meanwhile, the team of henchmen are trying to get faster and faster to their target, as the creature's powers grow stronger as it approaches the mountain. In the forest, the giant hands the newly repaired violin to his friend, who thanks him with a heartfelt hug. Looking at the postcards she had kept from her father, the girl realized that she had been to all those places during her adventure with the snow monster, missing only the statue of the great Buddha of Lashan. Later, the group of young people arrive at the foot of the giant monument, a dark and foggy place. After climbing the statue, the magnificent view of the place reminds the girl of her father, so the monster suggests that she play a song for everyone. As Yi plays her violin, the instrument begins to glow and magical raindrops fall from the sky above them, making flowers appear where the water touches. Suddenly, the place is full of plants and flowers once again. Opening her eyes, the young woman realizes that she has transformed the place with her enchanted violin. After a rest stop, the group continues their trek and finally they begin to see dots of snow around them, indicating that they have already reached the Himalayas. Further on, they come across a bridge, so they hurry to get to the other side. However, the group is once again surrounded by the team of scientists. When the big boss arrives on the scene, the beast becomes enraged and quickly scales the bridge. When he reaches the top of the structure, he unleashes his full power, causing a freezing wind and lightning to strike the armed men. The villains then prepare to attack the creature, but Mr. Burnish stops them because he remembers the first time he saw a family of snow monsters. Faced with the memory, the man realizes that the monster was protecting the children and that they should let him go to his real home. However, the evil scientist orders the captain of the henchmen to throw a tranquilizer dart at Mr. Burnish. After her boss passes out, Zara manages to command all the other guards, telling them to shoot the monster, which plummets from the top of the bridge as it is shot. The team quickly puts Everest in chains and captures the children. However, the young girl manages to escape and stops her enemy from using a powerful weapon on the giant. After that, Yi struggles with all her might to steal the scientist's weapon, but ends up being thrown off the bridge, which is a colossal height. After the boys and Everest are taken away from the site locked in a car, the girl holds on tightly to a rope tied to the bridge. The young woman uses all her strength to push off and jump back onto dry land. Soon after, she plays her violin again, and the song causes lights to appear in the sky above her and head towards the animal. When hit by the magic, the monster awakens with immense fury and shoots several ice crystals with its power, causing the cars to topple over. The henchmen then get out of their cars, but the creature lets out a roar, hurling bolts of lightning towards the enemies, who flee at the same moment. Just as everyone is about to celebrate, Dr. Zara directs a car at the monster. The vehicle hits Everest hard, squeezing him against the ice wall and causing an avalanche. The snowslide drags everything in front of it down the mountain, including the evil woman. Even so, the giant manages to escape after getting under the debris. Afterwards, Mr. Burnish appears on the scene and confesses that the Yetis are incredible animals, claiming that the world is not ready for the revelation of this species. As an apology, the man hands over his employees' coats for the children to keep warm. Then the youngsters see Mount Everest, but don't know how to get there. Faced with this situation, the monster uses his powers to create floating clouds, which take them to their destination. Upon landing on the mountain, the abominable creature begins to sing, which causes the family of giant Yetis to emerge from the depths of the snow. When she says goodbye to her companion, the girl feels very sad, but the monster consoles her by handing her a photo of her family. Then the group of friends hug, and Everest can finally return to his parents' lap. Back at home, the girl hurries to embrace her own family. Later, while the women are preparing dinner, the youngsters receive a package from Mr. Burnish, which contains a travel kit for the boys' next adventure. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.